Welcome to NNN News, the only unbiased, unfiltered, unplugged news podcast. This bi-weekly podcast will cover current events as well as deep dives in more obscure topics. As always, I'm joined by my good friend and comrade, Neville Croft.
Greetings, comrades. This podcast is so real, ravenous, and raw that Twitter decided to suspend our accounts. However, I bring good news. Recently, our Twitter account, the NNN News account, was recently it was put back up. We managed to get it up working again.
Hoorah to that! But still, don't forget to subscribe here on the channel. Follow us on Facebook. You know, try to keep track of us any way you can, because who knows when they're going to try to take us down again. Anyway, today's show is very special because we have a guest, longtime friend and colleague, undercover infiltrator, SPQR in here. But that's enough with the babbling. Let's get into the news. Welcome to the recent news and a big welcome to SPQR. Thank you for being here.
Well,
Welcome,
thank you.
comrade.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Now,
It's a pleasure to be here.
yeah, and now this first news story that we have here, I'm sure everyone's heard about, and this is the definition of breaking news. We just learned about this last night. Donald Trump has COVID virus. It came straight from the president's mouth. Both him and his wife, the FLOTUS, both have the COVID virus. And what are your guys' thoughts on this? Where do you think he might have got it from? Any ideas?
Well, he doesn't wear a mask.
He doesn't wear a mask, and he doesn't wear a mask. He just did this huge debate thing. So I reckon it's probably his fault, right? Don't you think?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, what he should have done, instead of mocking Biden for heroically wearing a mask, he should have
Hmm.
followed in suit and realized that Biden was being fashionable and stylish and followed in his footsteps. And maybe if he did and looked up to Biden as the hero that we know him as, he wouldn't have this.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there.
Well, it's
And
his own fault.
yeah, it really is his own fault. And a lot of people on Twitter are kind of going crazy right now. We see some stuff here. People are saying, would this guy ever cry wolf? Like, do you guys think there's a chance that he's maybe lying about this COVID thing for his own personal gain? Or is that a
Yes.
little too tinfoil hat? What do you guys think?
Well, that is something to think about, isn't it? Hmm.
Yeah,
I
and
Hmm.
think he is.
because he might be trying to get like a sympathy vote or something. Like people are gonna now vote for him because they're sad for him. I think
Yeah.
that's totally possible. And
I
I
mean, we've seen it with Boris Johnson. He pulled the same stunt here in UK. I
did he
always like to
really?
call him Bojo the Clown. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that the two maybe it's collusion possibly, but
Yeah.
it's still very suspicious. Very
Yeah.
close to the election as well.
And also very close to the debate, is it possible that this was a form of bioterrorism or bio warfare that Trump had sort of
Oh,
partaked in? Like, was he trying to
mhm.
maybe infect Biden or something?
Well, it could be. He could have been. Yes, he could. He could be a terrorist for the Democrats,
Yeah.
or he could be just sick and tired of going to all these rallies. They're awfully big. He must be tired.
So you think that maybe this could be like so this is all some sort of a way to get out of it, just to get some sympathy votes from all of his supporters and just move on past this election.
Well, it could be that, or it could be that if he loses, he has a good excuse.
Hmm.
He'll blame the Chinese.
Yeah, which is crazy because like we all know, if anyone created this virus, it wasn't the Chinese. I mean, it might have even been some of Trump's own people. I
Hmm.
mean, I was reading this article here. I'll pull it up on screen for everybody, and it says here that he got it from some hick or something. So I didn't really read this article in full, but
Hmm.
I think that this he got it from one of his supporters, like a hick or something.
Oh, well, that would be a redneck, right?
Yeah, right.
That makes a
That,
lot of sense for white supremacists like
I
Trump.
was I was gonna say is Hick like another name for like a fascist or some sort of thing like that.
oh, yeah. I guess I got to translate for you over there across the pond. If you don't know, hick is a colloquial term we use for people who live in like flyover states, basically. Uh, but yeah, and it did. This article did say that he got it from Hope Hick or something like that. But I'm not sure if they're just using that as a general term. Like I didn't read the whole thing. because this again very much breaking news. We're excited to be able to be covering this. It almost didn't get included in the show because it was so breaking. But I don't know. Do you guys think that what do you guys think his chances are? I mean, obviously he has great health care, but are there do you think there's a chance this might go south?
Well,
Well,
it's possible.
yeah, it's very possible because if you notice that people who come down with COVID, nobody wants to be around them.
Yeah, you definitely see that. So
But who wanted to be around Trump before this anyway?
yeah, definitely not his wife. I'm sure his wife is having a terrible. I hope they're not quarantining together because I'm sure she, she she might not be having a great time having to spend all this personal time with Trump. Because I don't know if you know this, Melania absolutely loathes Trump. We've covered this in the news several times. We usually talk about the stuff during the Trump watch, and we've covered. Melania obviously wants to have an affair with Joe Biden. Melania definitely doesn't want to be with Trump, and now she's being forced against her will, essentially, to stay with Trump. I can't imagine. I mean, I think almost giving your wife COVID is analogous to spousal abuse in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So
What if
could Trump?
Melania gave it to Trump to kill him so that she could maybe run for Joe Biden?
Oh, that's an interesting.
Ooh.
I hadn't thought about that angle before. So you think it could be like this is some sort of a way to get back at Melania,
Possibly,
or the
possibly.
other way around. Melania's trying
Well,
to get
yeah,
back
yeah,
at Trump
yeah.
for all this.
So, yeah, I think that maybe she's just trying to get him out the picture and then she can run off with Biden, perhaps. I mean, it's obvious that she has a thing for him.
Yeah, and I mean, all things considered, Melania has a better chance of making it through this unscathed, being a woman. And this if this virus has taught me anything, it's that women are powerful, right? You would
Well,
never.
there's no reason she would ever get it.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason that she would ever get it, and unless it was some concerted effort by the fascist state that Trump's trying to run here.
What can you imagine? Merry Christmas, Melania. That's a kind of gift Trump would give her.
Hmm. Yeah, Merry Christmas. You got the coronavirus. It's
The Trump virus. The Trump
the
virus.
Trump virus. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's I think the Trump virus has a whole new meaning now, right?
yeah,
We,
you're right.
we've been
It
calling
does.
it.
It's quite ironic that the virus he helped create in turn infected him.
Hmm. It's it's what we like to call in the industry hubris, right?
Mm, mm-hmm.
If you don't know what hubris means, look it up. Maybe you shouldn't be watching the show. Anyway, to I I think that we've looked a lot into this, and obviously this is going to be a developing story. So expect
Mm,
more news on Trump's virus as soon as we get it. But to move things forward here, there's
mm.
also recently in the news there's a paper bag ban that was just passed by the New Jersey legislature. And I actually, this is interesting because recently I'm from Boston, and in Boston we recently had a plastic bag ban, and I'm wondering if paper bags are the next frontier for all this.
Well, they're very noisy.
Yeah,
Uh, especially early in the morning. If you have to open up a bag or fold one, wakes up the house. So yeah, I'm kind of for it.
yeah, just for the it's going to make you more sane, and I don't know why everyone's not already just using cloth bags. I mean, the research has been out for a long time. Cloth bags are infinitely better for the environment. Uh, they're more stylish, and it's just overall, I think, a better choice. It,
Well, I think you're right. I mean, I have a bunch of them. I just keep forgetting to use them.
but I think that's these governments need to do stuff like this is because people can't be trusted to remember to do things that are in their best interest, right?
Mhm.
So the government, this is why we have legislators, guys. We
Yeah.
have legislators so that they can make laws and regulations in order to force people to do something they should have been doing already. And most of the time, people are happy. Like,
Yeah.
are you happy now that you might be required to use your cloth bag?
Well, it's true. There was some incentive a few years ago at our grocery store that they would give you a nickel for every time you reused your own bag. You brought your own bags.
Hmm.
They take a nickel off. But I don't know. People either got lazy or they just didn't think that, it was worth the 25 cents for 5 bags, that you brought with you.
Yeah.
So then they came up with a big barrel that you could just throw all your plastic bags in. Which I don't know what they did. I guess maybe they just dumped them somewhere else.
Because you can't. I don't think they're going to reuse them. I guess that's a big issue here. And I think this is just another sign that if you guys are in the suburbs or something, or in the sticks, get into cities, guys, because you need to be able to carry your groceries by hand. Because pretty soon you won't be allowed to have a bunch of bags for your groceries. So you should get into the city so you can easily walk to your grocer. Like a 2-minute walk is ideal.
Well,
So,
you saw what California's doing. They're banning cars.
hmm and this is just another step in the sort of green future that we're trying
Right.
to we're trying to find and trying to prosper in.
In the UK too, are they doing that?
What does it look like in the UK now? Are
Well,
there any plastic
fortunately,
bag
we've
bans?
we've still got ways to go. Unfortunately, the best we've got so far is the plastic straw ban, which is was quite unfortunate. But I mean, I proudly drink my drinks with a paper straw. Sure, it might get all damp and bad. Sometimes I can't drink through it properly, but it's all worth it because I'm saving the environment.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. You gotta save the turtles. Get rid of those plastic straws.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just I don't know why people are fighting against this. Like we have to do whatever the government asks us to stop climate change because otherwise we're gonna die.
When I saw that turtle with the straw up its nose, I knew then that as a righteous activist, I needed to stop using them. So I took all the plastic straws in the house and just put them on a fire.
Yeah, and I wrote something down here in the notes, and I think this is just a very poignant thought. Convenience is the tool of the bourgeoisie, right? I mean, when you think of convenience, think of fat aristocrats all gathered around eating grapes, because that's what you are. If you use a paper bag to carry your groceries from your grocery store, you are one of the fat bourgeoisie sitting back getting fed grapes. You're you're so drunk with your convenience that you're letting it destroy the planet. And it's just disgusting.
Right on, comrade. I mean, if you could see me right now, my fist is up in the air high.
hmm
Right on.
Giving out that the fist of support. I've
If everyone in the audience could just give a quick fist of support.
Yeah, I've lately been pushing the fist of support thing. I hadn't really been using it very much, but I've realized now that that's the only way to tell who's a real comrade and who's an infiltrator or something. Because people who really don't support BLM or support any of the movements, they won't put their
Uh,
fist up, right?
Comrade Norm,
Yeah.
Comrade Norm, you've probably just told the bad actors watching this our secret.
Mm.
Did I?
Like a secret
Jeez.
hand.
Yes,
Okay.
the fascists now know.
Okay.
They know
I'm
now.
just gonna bleep
We're
out
gonna have
that
to
pre.
think of a new
I'll
greeting.
we'll figure this out. We'll get that workshop. So if you
I recommend we do something like a Wakanda Forever thing,
yeah,
maybe.
Ooh.
we'll workshop the new greeting now. I'm sorry, guys, to all the BLM supporters. Um, I'm sorry for leaking the whole fist thing. Please forgive me.
Well,
It,
I think you should atone for what you've done. Clearly, you owe additional reparations.
yeah, I'm already stretched so thin, but I guess I'll just have to send in everything I got.
No, well, you could add an extra 10% of your income to donate to BLM.
Yeah.
You could do that. Well, the thing is, we're all coming out of the closet now,
hmm
so we can start proudly raising our arms high and our fists closed. And, if you look, what happened to that poor man, George Floyd, I mean, um, I don't, I don't know what to say. God bless him, I guess. That poor man. Well,
SPQR,
where he
we don't
died.
speak God's name here.
Yeah,
We
it's
say
Allah.
we say
That's
Allah.
Allah
Oh,
bless.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm
If
sorry.
if you guys don't know, SPQR spends a lot of time undercover in right wing community, so there's a lot of stuff they're not
Yeah,
really up to date on with sort of the new lingo, but we
the
we, we
Christians are
forgive.
the pagans. I tell
Yeah.
you, they got to me. So I'm it's been a while since I've been home, which is nice to be. But uh, where this unfortunate incident happened to this poor man, by these brutal police. They have closed the streets off all around it, and they've built this in the middle of the street. They built this monument with the fist raised high, made
Mhm.
out of iron, and on top of it is the flag of the new Republic of Africa. It's really gorgeous, full of flowers, and there's vendors there, and there's a spot where it happened, and you can light candles and wish well. Um, and people go there and they sing. Nobody can get in. Uh, Nobody. No fire, no ambulance, no police can get in there. It's all blocked off. So it's like a big shrine, if and it's autonomous. It's an autonomous 6 block area.
Is this the new Chaz then?
I guess you could say it, but they're calling it George Floyd.
Okay.
They've named
Yeah,
the city George Floyd.
I thought that was such a
Yeah.
beautiful message to name the city George Floyd. And it's rare, I think, to see such a beautiful tribute. And the other thing that's pretty rare too is often people like to disregard Kim Jong Un as some sort of a dictator or whatever. But we've been longtime supporters of Kim here on the show, and
Mm.
to everybody who has been saying, "Hey, you can't trust Kim. He's a fascist, whatever, whatever, whatever." It just came out, guys. Kim apologized. He issued an apologize to somebody in South Korea over a death of an official. I mean, this guy is more courteous than the United States at this point, because the United
Wow.
States doesn't issue any apologies when they carpet bomb a country or when they drone strike some official. I mean, look at what was the name of that general who was killed not too long ago? Do you remember?
Soleimani?
Soleimani? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do we issue an apology, a rare apology? No. But Kim?
But I think that Trump should Trump should apologize for that.
Yeah, I think Trump should be the better person and apologize for his wrongdoings. I mean, take a note from Kim Jong Un, and he's
Also, I want to add as well, Kim Jong Un is not a fascist or anything like that.
yeah,
Kim Jong Un is a centrist. Get into your heads.
and he's a sweet guy too. I mean,
Yeah.
look at him. Look,
Like father, like son.
yeah, he's smiling in the photo, and I'm really glad that he got his whole health thing figured out. We were a little worried for a little while.
Yeah. His
Got a little
sister,
dicey.
she's beautiful.
Yeah, and obviously we would have been happy having the first female leader of North Korea, but
Yeah.
we're happy to have Kim because Kim's a big soul. We don't want to lose it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, Kim, it's kind of a girl's name here, but there I imagine it's very masculine. I
Yeah.
guess. I know. I don't know.
Well, you can't look at Kim and not think this is a Chad, right?
Oh well. Yeah.
Kim has just a very, very, he looks very stoic. He's a very stout man and strong.
Mhm.
And SPO, have you heard about Kim's love affair with Trump?
Well, I know that he likes some American. Well, his father did for sure. His father loved American popular culture, but I'm not quite sure about the son as much as I knew more about the father.
Well, the son is obsessed with American culture as well, basketball specifically. He has
Oh right, yeah. What's his name?
Derek
Rodman.
Rodman.
Rodman, and also, but we've talked about this on the show before, but him and Trump actually exchanged love letters.
Oh really?
Yeah, this is a
Oh.
crazy thing. Apparently, they met during one of these sort of peace meetings or something, and they just sort of became little pen pals. They send letters back all the time.
How nice.
Yeah,
It's a bit strange though. I mean, a centrist like Kim Jong Un with
with a
Bluff
fascist
is a
like Trump.
fascist.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a bit weird.
it's
Well,
odd.
you have to try and convince everybody.
Yeah.
You got to extend it. I mean, the egalitarian in that grows by leaps and bounds in communism and anti-fascism is I mean it's unstoppable really.
Yeah. And speaking of communism, I think we found what could really be the future of a communist state, something that we could really get behind here. Here in Vietnam, they confiscated over 300,000 recycled condoms for sale. Like, what's wrong with this? This is clearly, if you read into the article, this is just a small businesswoman who sort of had worked her way from sort of toxic sex work, because we of course support sex work, but she was being held against her will. She worked
Mm.
her way past that, right? And then she started her own business selling these condoms that she reused. And it's just, I don't understand it. We're allowed to use reusable bags, but not reusable condoms. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm sure she cleaned them. So what's the problem?
Yeah, and I think the U.S. needs to intervene here. We can't let Vietnam stomp over this sort of independent businesswoman like this. Well, I don't.
Right.
I
We need to support women. We need to support our women.
Our women, their women, all women. It's believe
May-
all women, support all women.
Well, those fashy women.
Well, they're not real women, right?
Maybe when Joe Biden becomes president, he'll step in there and say, "Hold on now, this malarkey is getting out of hand."
Hmm. Exactly.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and she was making good money. I mean, she was making 17 cents for every 2 pounds she recycled. I don't know how many pounds 300,000 condoms is, but I imagine it's probably
Wow.
a ton or something. I don't.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's interesting.
We
I
should support this comrade.
we should. I'm going to be sending my stimulus check. I'm going to send half it to Biden and half of it to this nice lady out in Vietnam, so she can help her
Yeah.
get her business going. I mean, she washed the condoms, right? Like, is
Oh,
that not enough just to wash them?
yeah, that's
The
a
dedication to hygiene.
yeah. There you go.
It really is.
And
Yeah,
that's just good business practice to clean your products before you send them.
Yeah, I'm sure she's probably has slightly changed stuff up for COVID. I imagine that she's following the strictest guidelines possible, right,
mm,
to ensure the sort of safety there. Um,
As long as she's wearing a mask while cleaning them, I don't see what the problem is.
yeah.
and now I will admit, this story is a little bit funny, right? You read the headline, 30,000 recycled condoms, and you laugh. But then you read deeper and you realize, oh, this is actually like an interesting tale of a woman overcoming a patriarchal system and becoming an independent businesswoman.
Yeah.
In the same vein, this headline sounds very bad, but in fact, it's funny. You get by Team Biden says stupid bastard comments was made in jest. That sounds like, oh my God, Biden called soldiers stupid bastards. That's awful. But in fact,
That was a
it's
doctored
not.
video.
It's a doctored
That
video,
that
and
was a doctored video. It's not real.
yeah, and even if it was real, it was just a funny joke, right?
Right. Everybody calls each other bastards in the army.
Right? Yeah, I'll link it in the description below, but I
I
actually
mean,
did an article
was
on
was
this. It's
was Biden
completely
really wrong?
typical. No, yeah, he wasn't wrong. Soldiers are bastards, but beyond that, they like to be bastards. Like it's camaraderie, right? They call each other bastards all the time, and Biden being so in tune with the military, because he has. I don't know if you guys know this, but Biden had a son who was in the military.
Yes,
This isn't really publicized or anything,
yeah,
but
that's
yeah, Biden
true.
had a son in the military, so he understands it, right? No one respects troops more than Biden.
But Biden just gets it.
Yeah, he just gets it. It's
Yep.
Just trust the Biden plan.
they trust the Biden plan, and this is just a classic case of people missing the joke. Like, this is locker room talk. Case in point, it's pretty. This shouldn't even be a story. Now, Trump calling soldiers losers, that's a
Mm,
problem. But this,
That's something we
forget
need
about
to
it.
talk about. This is nothing.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's first of all, the word bastard, means fatherless child. So you're raised by a single mom, and we support that.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know why anybody would think that that's a derogatory term anyway.
Or there were the famous Jewish Nazi killers, the Inglorious Bastards, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
there's a storied history of anti-fascists being bastards and being happy about it, right?
Right.
So yeah, guess what? Antifa are bastards, but we're also cool with it. So
Oh yeah, because
get
it's
screwed.
where it's moms. You
Hmm.
gotta support mom.
Support single motherhood. Support bastards.
Right.
I think totally.
Because boys, men, uh, males, females, they don't need fathers in the household. I mean, if you have one, okay, but for the
Don't
most
forget
part,
the other 300 genders as well.
Hmm.
pardon,
All
The
the
other
other
300
genders.
genders. Yeah.
I still miss that.
You forgot all the other genders.
All the agendas. Well, there's so
All the
many.
all the other genders.
I don't know what that is. Can you explain that?
so there's a lot of
All
extra
the other
genders.
genders.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I'm sorry.
non-binary, novi gender.
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's
It's the
okay.
math.
We have to get. Sometimes I have to translate for Nev. It's a it's a British thing.
Yeah, it's that British language.
Yeah.
No, I have to translate for. Well, I have to get Norm to translate for my cousin Lindsay all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
Lindsay can't understand a word that Neville says. It's kind of
oh,
funny.
yes, all the other genders is right. So it's not just this mother-father kind of male-female,
Yeah.
economy that's, just been part of the culture, the patriarchal culture forever and ever and ever. That's all gone now.
Hmm.
We need to embrace every kind of family, every kind of person
Hmm.
who's, and so therefore we need to really celebrate, calling, men bastards. I mean, that's a compliment now.
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of things that are going to change pretty soon. One of them that people are pushing for is to expand Fourth Amendment rights, the right to vote. Last time I checked, I'm not entirely versed in what the Fourth Amendment even is, but that's besides the point. They want to expand it in Florida to allow people who are felons to vote in the election.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, about
you know,
time.
about time, right? They're obviously felons are going to vote Democrat.
Problem with this at all.
Yeah, I mean, we have the felon vote secured. They're just not allowing them to vote yet. This is meddling. This is gerrymandering in the most classic sense, right? To not allow a section of the country to vote just because they know they're going to vote against them.
I don't see where you live, even if it's in prison,
Hmm.
should matter to voting. If you're an
Yeah,
American citizen, you were born here, you should be able to vote. And even if you're just here temporarily working, why not?
yeah, let them in. I mean, they should have as much say as any other American.
Sure, they
There's,
live
The
there.
textbook fascism.
Law or no law, who cares? You're there. You're part of the community. That's all that matters.
of course,
If
it's
you
important to
dotted
note
line, you're stupid.
this story comes from Florida, which is one of the biggest states that pushes against felons voting. And I mean, Florida's a swing state, guys. It's
Yeah.
important that we get every single Democratic vote there we can. So let these guys vote for Biden. And if they vote for Trump, they don't need to get their vote back, right?
Not
Because
like a new hashtag, like hashtag felons for Biden or something like that.
yeah, I think
You know,
we'll push that. We'll push felon
you
for
know what
Biden.
they need to do in Florida? They need to get those Chad votes again.
Hmm.
The swinging Chad. Remember? Do you know about those?
Yeah, I think I'd heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, when Gore and Bush were running in Florida, that's what, held up the election then, were these Chads that, you would punch through, and you know how you get this little square, and if the little piece of paper didn't fall off, they, would swing. And so that, the argument was that, well, they didn't punch all the way through and
Yes,
they
you
didn't
can't
punch
count the
out.
vote.
Yes, you can't. And I guess if you run through a machine, sometimes they don't. So people had to count them and look at them by hand. They had to assess whether or not that little piece of paper was completely, almost off, halfway off, a little bit off, or somebody like went to stick their little pointer in and said, "Oh, wait, no, I don't want to go there. I'm going to go here." Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
It's you, comrade.
So the goddess bless you.
Yeah.
So then that's what held the election up, but unfortunately at that time, Jeb Bush was the governor,
Hmm.
and that's why George got the state. But when it was all said and done, guess who actually really won?
Of course, it was
Al Gore,
Al Gore, of
the
course, and
Democrat.
that's happened with Hillary. That's probably gonna happen again with Biden if by some gross turn of events Trump wins. Biden
Oh
will
no,
definitely
no,
won the popular vote.
don't
I'm
say that.
Don't
sorry.
Don't
even,
say that.
yeah,
Don't
really,
say
I'm
that.
sorry. I should
too
Please,
close,
please, please.
knock
too
on wood.
close to the election that,
Knock on wood with
don't
that.
jinx it.
I
For the
know.
past few nights, I've dreamt that Biden would win and save me from this horrible reality.
Yeah.
Please don't quash my dreams.
Yeah, and we were talking about people in jail getting the vote, but one guy in jail I don't think that who should be allowed to vote is this man. He got jailed for 1 year for holding a large party, going against the COVID virus rules. I mean, this guy should get his civil liberties taken away,
Well,
right?
yeah, no mask, no vote.
No mask, no vote, exactly. And th clearly, this is a case of a person who is just flippantly trying to endanger the lives of other people. I mean, this goes up there with people who don't wear masks in public getting arrested for attempted murder. I mean, all of these things should be happening because your personal liberties don't come at the risk of other people's lives, guys.
Well, I don't like to see anybody get hurt, really.
Mhm.
But that woman at that little league game, or that little league football game, where the cop came and arrested the mom because she wouldn't put her mask on, and she wasn't social distancing, and so they stun gunned her. She really did deserve it.
Yeah, it's like,
Wasn't that
sure.
hard? Put your mask on, lady. How
Is
hard is
is it
that?
that hard just to listen to what the government tells you? I don't really understand.
Is this one of the only occasions where the cops are actually doing something right then?
Yeah, that's you see this
Well,
sometimes where it's not really the cops who
and
they stumbled upon doing something right, but it was only after killing three unarmed black men the same day.
right. And this was a black cop too.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was so insensitive, to this man who's just trying to, work and keep, carry the laws through in this country, for our government. Um, it's just, I want to say she deserved it, but
Yeah.
I gotta be careful.
Yeah. So just guys
Case
remember.
similar to
Oh,
we had
go
a
ahead.
case similar to this here in the UK where there was like a 10-year-old having a birthday party and they weren't socially distancing, they weren't wearing masks.
Of course.
And the police had to come in and end it.
That's
I mean,
that's child negligence right there, and the kids
exactly.
are also responsible too. I think you've
If,
got to throw them in prison.
Oh,
yeah,
bad parents there.
if it was my choice, all of them would have been flung in jail and the key would have been tossed away until they atoned for their sins and realised that they were about to kill people, probably.
Yeah,
Well, they're turning these kids into little Nazis.
it really is. And I don't know why it's so hard for people. Like, you guys, you got your television, you got your Hulu, whatever. Like, come on, just stay home and watch the state-approved media instead of
Right.
going out here and starting these parties. Why would you want to party when you got a backlog of NNN News podcast episodes to watch, right? I mean,
Exactly. Or you can watch Rachel Maddow and learn the
I
truth.
I know what I'm doing on my Saturdays. I'm watching NNN News, the only approved news program approved by Journalist Excellence Worldwide. Definitely, if you guys are gonna throw a party, don't just watch NNN News. You can do a viewing party at home.
Far.
It's great.
I mean, why get drunk when you can get drunk on the truth?
Exactly, exactly.
And for late nights, there's always Netflix.
There's always Netflix.
Yeah.
Just you just need to
Quality programming.
quality programming at any time of day. And that's the sort of thing that YouTube offers as well. But I don't know who this one's kind of another crazy story from YouTube. A YouTuber, Boogie2988, fires a gun during a confrontation with another YouTuber named Frank Hassel. Now, I don't want to. This is a very complicated case, so I don't want to get this twisted. On one hand, Frank Hassel is a bigot. There's audio recordings of him calling Boogie the F slur. If you guys don't know, that's a homophobic slur. Uh,
Yeah.
and then there's other sort of things of him calling him the P word, uh, in a derogatory sense. Like you can use pussy in like a cool sense, but not in a derogatory way. And it was definitely in a derogatory way, the way it was thing. So he obviously Boogie is somewhat justified in defending himself from these verbal attacks.
Mm.
However, I cannot justify the use of a gun in any sense. Now he did not shoot at him; he did fire upwards to fire a warning shot. But what goes up must come down. I mean, somebody could have easily gotten
Or,
hurt.
yeah, or a bird climb
Bird.
up.
I mean, yeah, come on. There's no knowing what could have happened to any of these people here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Well,
I
I think we
I
should
heard
measure
bits
this
and
by
pieces of
the.
it, but go ahead.
I believe that we should look at this on the oppression hierarchy.
Hmm.
So let's have a look at Boogie. So he's a white male, which isn't a good start, but he's also a person of size, and it's very possible that because of him being a person of size, that they discriminated against him in this case.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's true.
The one thing that makes me a little sad is here's a picture of Frank Castle here. I'll pull it up on screen for the viewers at home. Anyway, this is a tweet and he says, I'm not going to say the name of the town because even though it's publicly available, I'm not going to say it. And then he calls Boogie the P word in a derogatory sense, but he's wearing a Grateful Dead T-shirt. Like, if you get viewers at home should know this because I almost always wear my Grateful Dead stuff. My hat is right here. I'm a Grateful Dead fan, and this to me is not what the Grateful Dead represents. It doesn't represent saying derogatory things to other people. It doesn't represent wearing a snake in your around your neck in a violent neighborhood, in a violent sense.
Yeah.
It's sad to see somebody sort of misrepresent the cause like that. And yeah, it's a very complex situation. Obviously this is another example of how people shouldn't be able to use guns because he Boogie could have killed somebody, that day. And not even the person not even Frank Castle who was trespassing. Who knows what could have happened?
Well, I'm with you on the guns, and I'm with you on defending Boogie because of his size.
Yeah.
But he's also really, really wealthy.
Mhm.
He really
Oh,
shares that money with
Yeah,
anyone. He's
and
kind of a greedy about it, you know?
and I'm not sure what the details are on this, but I've heard some people say that Boogie might have some Nazi connection.
You know,
Apparently, his original username was Boogie 1488, and I guess he changed it. Or I
yeah,
was hearing
that's
some talk. I've heard a lot of people call him that.
Hail Hitler, right?
Yeah,
That's what the 88 means.
if you guys don't know, 1488 is it's a Nazi thing. So yeah,
White supremacist Nazi KKK thing.
mhm. So yeah, but so Boogie might not be totally in the right here. It's a really complex issue. We will keep you updated on it if any new things come out. We might even make a news bite. But I'm curious to see how this is going to go because this is pretty unprecedented.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
But let's keep things moving here. So everyone is worried about the mail-in voting, right? At
Yeah.
least on the right, everyone on the right is worried about this mail-in voting.
I'm not worried at all. I think it's a
You're not
brilliant
worried?
idea.
No,
No.
I think it's brilliant as well, but I think you definitely have a lot of people who are trying to make other people worried. There's sort
Well,
of this.
they're building it to a big thing of nothing,
Hmm.
because you can always trust the post office to get
Yeah,
it to you. And they're, I guess you could say they're as honest as the day is long. Everyone who works there, they're civil servants.
yeah,
They're government officials. So you have to trust them that
yeah.
they're going to do their job. No once in a while, something gets stuck in a machine, or maybe something gets
Yeah,
lost,
or people receive the wrong mail. It happens.
it happens.
It
Yeah,
happens. And
no big
we
deal.
we've talked about in previous shows the idea that maybe we should start deputizing post officers to take over the police as part of
Agreed.
sort of the complex plan to defund the police, start moving some of that money from the police over to the post office because the
Yep.
post office took down Bannon, I think it was. The post agent took down Bannon, or yeah, I think it was Bannon. So there's becoming a sort of a trend now of postmasters taking the law into their own hands and fighting for justice, basically.
Really, they need to be given badges,
Yeah,
to wear, like deputies,
yeah, they need to
and
be federally deputized.
yeah, I mean, they go through everything anyway. They get the
Hmm.
background check, and they have to take the tests, civil service tests and all this stuff. So you might as well just give them a badge. I mean, just going through all that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that CNN put out this article here because it just seems like maybe Trump paid for this. Maybe this is like an ad spot or something
Hmm.
to make people not trust in the electoral process.
Hmm.
I think there's definitely a chance of that because it just I can't believe that there would ever be any problem with the post system, you know?
Yeah, I just wonder if that the the mail that they're finding in these ditches and in the garbage and dumpsters, if that's just like pretend, setup.
Yeah, or maybe there's like a couple rogue Republican agents in the post office. I think
Oh,
honestly, at this point, we should do is just have a survey go out, asking post people, who do you vote for, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And if they look for Donald Trump, just throw him out. Make it so they
yeah.
can't deliver mail anymore.
Why do we even need to put Blunt on the ballot anyway? He's obviously not going to win. You might as well just
Yeah,
put Biden there for everyone.
I figure. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
we should just do that. It would be so much easier and save so much money.
We wouldn't even have to count the ballots at that point. Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
to.
I mean, isn't that what they did like in I forgot that guy's name in Iraq. I think he had like a 93% approval, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it must be doing something right.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you got that kind of vote,
Hmm.
you know, but we should have that here in the
We should
United
have that
States.
here.
Mm.
And one of the things that brings everybody together, I think, is emojis. Are you guys regular emoji users?
Yeah,
I use the correct safe emojis. So hate smiles, thumbs up, the
yeah.
Nazi OK sign. I don't use.
Yeah, I got to release an article on that. Just give people a list of approved and unapproved emojis because it's going to be a
Oh,
big list, but it's in the works, guys. I put it
oh,
on
Every
the
now and
on the
again,
forefront.
I need one of those. Boy, do I need one of those
Yeah, just like
because
a
there's no
quick
choice.
guide where it has all the emojis and some of them are xed out. It's on the whiteboard
Hmm.
to
every now
do
and
that one
again,
up.
I like to put
Yeah.
little then emojis of a POC woman wearing a hijab at the end of my messages.
Yeah,
It just makes
Oh,
it so
how
much more
nice.
progressive.
to show
I've had
support.
exactly. I've had people ask why I do it. I'm showing support for my
Solid.
JLGBTQ
Mhm.
Islamic POC
Yeah,
comrades.
Yeah.
the sort of
JLGBT.
the JLGBT, the Muslim X, all that stuff. But anyway, on the topic of emojis, they're actually adding a couple new emojis here.
Oh,
So we have the dodo bird, a Russian nesting doll, a pinata, what appears to be some sort of a food item. I think it's Japanese. Then one that I'm not happy with, we'll get back to an Italian hand, a boomerang. It's either a woman wearing a hijab or a ninja, a United States quarter or maybe like a silver dollar, a
oh,
heart, a beaver, a non-binary emoji. This one I'm hyped about, guys.
I'm
What
yeah.
hyped.
looks
I'm happy.
boba
I'm
tea and
raring
some
to use it.
lungs. So this makes me feel very conflicted because I am so excited that they're adding a non-binary gender symbol emoji.
About time.
About time.
Yeah,
And I
about
mean, I think if if you guys don't know, emojis aren't just iOS or Apple. They're actually it's Unicode that approves emojis. So if the Unicode people want to ever get in contact with me, I
yeah.
will. I'll draft up all of the different gender symbols for all 339 genders.
Fantastic. That is a project.
It's a public
That is
service, I
worth.
think.
Yeah, that's a project worth doing. Although I am a little bit, I don't know, the Puchinka dolls, the Russian dolls. I'm not sure about that. I mean, if you open them up, does Putin come out?
That's what I'm wondering. Like I was thinking the same thing. Did the Russians pay
Yeah.
to get this emoji in there? The other one I'm not so excited about is it's I'll just pull up my camera so I can show you guys. It's this one. It's the Vutable. It's an Italian thing. And
Oh.
I don't know. I'm of two minds about this. I'm a I'm an Italian. I have Italian blood in me, but I have trouble identifying with the Italians because of people like Mussolini and other
Mm-hmm.
sort of bad actors in the Italian community. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I can really get behind an Italian hand emoji. I think it might be a little problematic to have that.
Well, there has to be a change, and this new pope seems to be kind of moving in the right direction. I mean, he's washing the feet of black people now, which is fantastic. And so the Catholic Church is really kind of changing to be more of service rather than be served, and almost fascist and patriarchal. Although they do have a little problem with women priests, they still won't let that happen.
When will we have a female pope? That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, the church historically has always been very slow to move, but the last, I would say this pope in particular seems to be pushing forward. So, he could probably try a little harder.
Yeah.
He is doing some good, and he doesn't like Trump, so that's a plus too.
Yeah. The other thing I am worried about with this Italian hand emoji, and I will warn, what I'm about to say is a little bit trigger warning. It's a little graphic.
Uh-oh.
I'm worried this is going to become one of the new sexual emojis.
Mm.
Oh no.
And I don't know if you guys are in on the whole thing with the sexual emojis. They've been used regularly to sexually harass women.
Oh,
Send women the eggplants or
oh. Do they still have that one? I think that's gone now, isn't it?
they should remove it. They definitely should remove the eggplant. But I'm worried that this new hand symbol is going to be it's going to be a new this new sex emoji. I'm not a fan.
Huh.
I
I can't. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to. I don't even know what it is.
oh well I reckon I shouldn't say it on the air. I'll
Uh-oh.
leave it to the imagination of those at home.
Uh-oh.
What are the other things that they say that's coming with this update? It's going to include 55 new gender and skin tone variants, and I wonder how that's going to shake out. Are there going to be 55? They're going to be 54 genders and one skin tone added, or I'm curious to
So
see.
many. I mean, there's so many, and there's so many, different shades, and then
Mhm.
you have people who have the Michael Jackson condition. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, I can't remember.
I'm not sure what that is.
It's the one
But
where people slowly their skin tone gets lighter over time.
parts in patches. So it
Patches.
looks.
That's vitiligo.
Yeah, that's it. Right. Yeah, that's. So how do you do that?
Yeah,
There's so much, and the variations.
but
In con-
we have the researchers. I think we need to a lot of people who are working in tech right now need to get into the emoji game because obviously it's the most important thing they can be working on right now.
Well, yeah, and they have the time because
Yeah,
the with 40% at least of the jobs are gone now. So because of the
the
Trump virus.
virus, yeah, Trump virus. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm also glad I see a trans flag here in this extended list. Yeah, there's a trans flag coming in, so we got a lot coming, and I'm really excited for that.
The only thing I have a problem with the emojis are they're so small. They need to make them bigger. In some platforms they are bigger, but in most platforms they're so teeny. I don't even know what people are saying with them.
Yeah, it definitely is an acquired skill to be able to decode the whole emoji language, and
Yeah,
it's interesting.
it is. It is definitely a new language
Uh,
that we're speaking.
I've seen there's some colleges that are adding, and this is really important, classes for how to speak an emoji.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
that
take a
would be
course on that.
fascinating. They should
yeah,
teach that to kids now while they're
yeah.
young.
I think forget cursive. Let's do emojis now.
Yeah,
It's 2020, guys. Cursive's dead. Emojis are the new it thing. Let's get
right.
with it, schools. Like that, or like LOLs or
Yeah,
text lingo. Like all that stuff is more important to kids than anything, really.
and they're the future.
Yeah. And you know, the future is looking grim. This has recently come out that the Kentucky Attorney General says that he'll never recommend murder charges in the Breonna Taylor case, which is just sad because I don't
Mm.
know when this happened that killing somebody no longer constitutes as murder. Like, did they change the definition? Do we need to get Lawyer Andy in here?
This is a perversion of justice just because that Breonna Taylor was a POC woman.
Hmm. Yeah, it really is obvious that Breonna Taylor was murdered, and whatever the Kentucky general says, Breonna Taylor was murdered by the police officers, and it's never justified to murder somebody.
Well, when police say that they knocked, that they didn't.
Yeah,
We
I mean it's
know.
called a no-knock warrant for a reason,
Yeah.
right? Like they wouldn't
They
call it,
said
they
they
wouldn't be
knocked.
reporting on this as a no-knock warrant if they actually knocked on the door, right?
And if the drug laws were, just in the sense that, there shouldn't be any arrests for drugs, none of this would have happened.
Yeah,
It's just so stupid.
it really is
Be
stupid.
be able to smoke or shoot up whatever they want.
And then there's this cognitive dissonance on the right, where they want to suddenly start calling protests riots, but we're not allowed to call murders murders. Like
Huh.
these are
Right.
this is the whole word game thing they try to push. Like, come on, people on the right, let's call things like they are. When people are going against injustice in the streets, that's a protest. When somebody is killed by a police officer, that's a murder. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These are just simple definitions that I don't know why these aren't commonplace.
It's so obvious. I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe they're just. I don't like to bring in the pseudoscience of IQ, but they sort of make me want to. Their IQ must be so low,
Yeah, it
or they're
must
so
be
brainwashed.
that
Maybe.
they're willing to just accept that when the police say, "Hey, we didn't murder this person," even though you did, uh, they're just going to accept it because they like you said, they're so brainwashed that they're going to believe anything the police tell
If all the intelligent people are on the left or in the center like us.
them. Yeah,
Hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter what transpired. The person's dead now. That's what matters.
exactly. That's what matters. And you know, it's very it's a, dealing with the police is a really complex issue. It's one of these things that makes it even harder though is uh, a lot of these police have been federally deputized, and what that means is that if a protester were to defend themselves against the police,
Right.
if they're getting pepper spray thrown at them, suddenly it's not up to the mayors to decide if they charge them or not because if these police are federal agents, they can be charged federally by the government. And this is
Mm.
just another example of Trump protecting his SS troopers, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yep. No, you're right. You're right. And I think people are waking up to that. They're woke.
Hmm.
You know.
There should not be any federal oversight for the police. The only oversight for the police should be like, Black Lives Matter should have a couple representatives within the police to ensure that they're running effectively, but there should be otherwise no federal oversight because obviously making the police a federal agency is nothing but bad for all this.
Yeah, it's like
Journalists should be in the police as well.
Yeah, journalists should be in the police.
yep. You got Black Lives Matter journalists and social workers. It's kind of like kosher food. You know, you got a rabbi who watches over all the food, by law, and make sure that that's a requirement. It's a requirement for it to be kosher. So you got to pay that person because he's just not going to show up for nothing. And you just tag that onto the price of the food. You do the same thing with the social worker and BLM and journalists. You pay them off the taxpayer dollar.
Yeah, obviously, I think we should have paid protesters in BLM who will ensure that our country stays sane. And
Yeah.
hold government officials to task who need to be held to task. And they shouldn't be given these extrajudicial federal protections just because they're police officers. You know, it's
I mean, it's
crazy.
a job. It's
It's
just any other
it's
job.
like a plumber does it. A plumber's not a federal agent. Why is a police officer?
Exactly.
And to end the recent news segment, I just want to remind you guys, Portland does not need police. The thing
Well,
that
Nowhere
Portland
needs
needs,
police.
yeah, Portland does not need police. It needs peace, guys.
hmm
And we won't get peace while there's police. They're
well,
they're
what they could do is they could use the police to keep the Nazis out. Those
mm,
Proud Boys seem to keep going through there and marching for some reason and causing all kinds of problems.
and
They just, they put the cops at the the edge of the city and just make sure that they can't come in.
See BLM causing these kind of issues.
you never see BLM causing these issues. It's just sad.
You know?
But that concludes the recent news segment. Stick along with us where we'll have the guest segment and ask SPQR a couple questions. See you then. Welcome to the guest segment. Thank you again, SPQR, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
So my first question is something that you and I have talked about for a long time is you have sort of this interest in creating this artist community or this sort of commune. What do you think the biggest obstacles to this goal are?
Well, first I'd like to just kind of clear up. It's not a commune, so it's not kind of like what most people think of as like sort of like a hippie commune. And it's not really completely an artist's community, although the arts are very important. It is a cultural community. And it stems out of what's called the Seeds Project. And the Seeds Project is basically, it's a template that puts together, ideas for different cultures. So it embraces each culture, but it preserves it. It sort of like freezes it in time so that the people, for instance, you might have something like Finhorn or the village in Japan, Shirakawa? It's Shirakago. Or you have something in Honduras where it's these kind of like small communities. There's the Uastin in Canada, which is a Native American community. And then you have, these are all over. There's another one which is actually was developed by a group of terrorists in Gitmo who were originally from Yemen. And they developed their whole community. And I think, and I'm not absolutely sure because someone said that told me that they weren't sure it was actually happening. But they're in the middle somewhere in Saudi Arabia, and they have to stay there. But they developed this business, they developed, their cultural aspects, which would be their philosophy or religion. And then you have like another one, which is in Spain, and it's a communist community. And so you have these kind of like ideals, these philosophies, and these religions. And it's a group of people that come together that are all kind of on the same page. What the Seeds Project does is it embraces these different ideas, these cultures, and allows them to exist, first of all. They have autonomy. And then it gives a template to fill in. So, for instance, if we were to look at Western civilization, and that would be the Peach Project, you have the fine arts, the practical arts, and the skilled art. Mm-hmm. And most people know what the fine arts are, dancing, music, painting, the 7 liberal arts. And then you have the practical or folk arts, which are things like basket weaving and sewing and homemaking and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And then you have the skilled arts, things like smithing and pottery and woodworking, really hands-on. And with those, and those are all based on the particular culture, so that the way that they would fashion, say, woodworking in Japan, or woodworking in Finhorn, or woodworking in, the terrorist community, or woodworking in the communist community, if that's what they chose to do in their skilled arts, whatever their skill is, they would embrace that. Then within the community of where the people all live, there are clubs. Mm-hmm. And those clubs are all built on these skills. Then there are other things that on top of that, which are festivals and celebrations. So, for instance, in the Peach community, you would celebrate on August 15th, Ferragosto. Being Italian, you may know what that is. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you have Christmas and you have Halloween and those sorts of holidays and celebrations. But you would also have, those same kinds of celebrations in different cultures. Like in Japan, what their culture would have in India and in China. So you have the festivals, and each month you form this sort of like living culture to that festival. So, for instance, in July, we celebrate several things because we're in the United States, but many of us are from Europe. We would celebrate, of course, the 4th of July, which is American independence. But come the 14th, we would also celebrate the French Revolution, which happened on that day, along with a bicycle race. So you have a lot of different things woven in, and an artist's fair. And then, of course, you're bringing in the food of those particular cultures as well. And then the last 2 weeks is, since July is mostly Greeks, it's a celebration of the Greeks. You would have the Olympics, and they're the original Olympics, but not the absolute original Olympics, because today's Olympics, you need to have allow male and female. Back then, only males were allowed, and they did it naked. So you have to make some adjustments.
Some a little
there.
different, yeah.
Yeah. So, and only one woman was allowed, and that was the high priestess. But you go through the whole ceremony, and pretty much kind of what you see a little bit on TV, but in a more holistic, a smaller community. And then the last 2 weeks, or the last week of July, early August, is the Greco-Roman theater performing the original Greek plays.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Like,
Yeah, so that's how the festivals and would work. And then you have the whole mercantile aspects of it, which is basically, how do you raise money? What are the finances, administration, that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I can imagine the administration might be pretty hard to get all that stuff going.
Well, everybody works at it, and it works really quite well, because all of these communities, from my analysis, have this structure. And I just examined it all and put it together and put it in a template that says this is what you need to fill it in with.
It's almost like there's not very many approved journalist video games, but one of them is Fallout, and there's something called the GEC, the Garden of Eden Creation Kit, where the idea is it's this kit that lets you create a community out of nothing. It seems like your idea is somewhat similar in that sense.
Well, yes, it is. In that sense, you're creating it. But the thing is, with these particular cultures, you're taking from the past the treasures from the past that have been passed down, or might have been lost and rediscovered, and then you put them into the place where they belong. So we always celebrate the 4th of July, on the 4th of July, and we always celebrate Halloween when we celebrate Halloween on the 31st, and we celebrate Christmas so it's the same thing in every culture. The Chinese New Year, it always falls within a particular day. You would put that into the template for the festivals on that day.
PQ, I have the next question that I'm interested in asking. So, in terms of content creation, do you have an interest in making content online? And if so, then how can people find your work?
Okay, yeah. I have been working on a book, and it's slow going in a way, because there's so many details I need to do. There's the Seeds project, which is pretty much just an overview and the template. And then I've been putting a lot of my energy into the Peach project, which is the Pan-European and American Cultural and Heritage Center. And so my focus has been on Western civilization from the Greeks onward. And so I've been filling that in. And so I have a site on WordPress, just under SPQR, IUS. And SPQR, if you know what that is, it's the Roman, the Senate and the people of Rome is what it stands for. So it's a historical acronym. And the IUS means law. So it's the Roman law, which is basically the ideal of what the Greco-Roman, civilization was reaching for. And it reached its height under Augustus, and then it was the decline from there on.
Yeah, speaking about declines in Rome. I think that might weigh in on the next question here. How much do you think is riding on this election? Because I know a lot of people are looking at this like this might be the height of Rome right now, and might be
Yeah,
looking for a fall.
a lot of comparisons to what's happening to the United States and to Rome. The thing is, most people think that Rome burned, and of course, we see the United States burning in a way in some places,
Just
which
peaceful protests.
yeah, but with a little
Fire, but
bonfire
very peaceful.
Yeah.
dumpster here and there. But but for the most part, Rome actually just kind of faded, and the leadership became very corrupt, and it was kind of an oligarchy that sort of took over. And so then you had the generals, and you had the troops, and then you had each of those groups fighting each other, and that's really what destroyed Rome. And then got to a point where it was basically the city with its taxes and with the crime and everything else. I hate to say this, with its diversity, fell apart, and people just fled. They moved to Florence. They went to Napoli. They went everywhere else. And then of course you have 376, where the barbarians came in. So you have the barbarians coming in and making it even worse
Yeah.
for Rome. For the oligarchs in a sense. And then, of course, the Vikings going up and down the coast, they're just, pillaging and raping. So yeah, you have this, this picking away. But at the same time, if you look at the barbarian cultures, which is basically the Celtic culture, Indo-Europeans, they actually, when they come in, they're Constantine Christianizes a lot of the pagans, but at the same time, there's this exchange of information.
Mhm.
And so for the first time, you have these people who actually can think each other's thoughts. That's where they were at. They didn't have like a written language. It was very, very minimal. You have the ruins, the Norwegian ruins, the Viking ruins.
Yeah.
But you don't have these books. The Celts actually adopted all of this stuff that came out of Rome. So you see this transition from Greece into Rome into Northern Europe, which then eventually becomes the Middle Ages. And I feel like that's where we're headed. We keep recapitulating these past civilizations as we move forward.
Well, it's
These kind of conflicts of ideas. So what are your thoughts on the unrest? So do you think there'll be more unrest with Trump or Biden directly following the election? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I do follow the election, and I will say that I'm kind of torn between it being sort of a divide and conquer tactic, because when you follow the money, both parties always lead to the same people. So
yeah.
it's sort of hard to say that, Ralph Nader used to say there's a dime's worth of difference. I don't even know if there's an atom's worth of difference between the two parties anymore. They each play their role to keep us fighting with each other. And that's my perception. That's why I decided that voting would be a waste of my time. I'm just like encouraging them to continue this.
So you think that the unrest is going to stay strong even if Biden takes a hold?
No, I think Biden is probably more fascist than Trump. And
Biden is a fascist?
well,
So strong statement there. I
it
think
is
some of your undercover work might be changing your views a little bit. But that's
it
an
could
interesting.
be. It could be. Well, let's say I'm going to talk on the other side of this now.
Yeah, devil's advocate, of course.
Yeah. So being the devil's
Biden's an
advocate.
approved centrist.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at his history, he could be labeled a war criminal for pushing the war in Iraq, which was a lie, and he knew it. You could also say that, he wrote the crime bill, which locked up millions of.
I think we should move on from this. I don't think this is
Yeah,
approved journalism.
Yeah, this one might be. It's interesting. You say we're obviously here unbiased, unfiltered, unplugged. We sometimes give opposing opinions, devil's advocates like this, and it's caused us to actually, be deplatformed before? Do you? Why do you think it's so often that you see people in power try to deplatform people like us? Just journalists or just
Well,
people
this is
who want to start telling the truth or what they think this is true.
yeah. Well, this is the oligarchs, at play, really. The techno oligarchs, the banking oligarchs, the corporate oligarchs, big oil, big gas, big coal, all these, even Bill Gates, these are people who have this idea of the future, and it's quite different than, the common people. And there's a wonderful quote by probably my most favorite socialist, Eugene V. Debs, and he ran for president more than any other man in history. He was a confirmed socialist, in the highest order. And he basically said in jail, because he was arrested many times, the American people can have anything they want. The trouble is they don't want much of anything. And I think if you get, the difference I see, with my studies in history, is in a sense we're kind of recapitulating the 30s and 40s. We're seeing people rising up, but like the French Revolution, there's going to be a vacuum left. And if Black Lives Matter, if Antifa, or anybody who rises up, moves forward, there's nothing on the other side. There's no game plan. There's nobody there. So what you do is you create this vacuum, and then you have somebody like a Napoleon walk in, somebody like a Stalin walk in, and that just is something that keeps repeating itself in history. It's a shame in a lot of ways. You didn't have that with the American Revolution. They had a group of people that had a plan, and once they, basically defeated the British, they kicked them out, the redcoats. They had everything set. They just, expanded on the Magna Carta. They had people who were fairly intelligent, and they had a plan. This is what we're going to do. And the French really didn't have that. They just had, we're going to kill all these horrible people who have this power and are abusing us. And, let them eat cake. They're starving for bread. And so you have these basic things, shelter, food, water, healthcare, education, purposeful work, not boring, repetitive, pointless work. And, honest and open communication. And of course, some rest, to be with your family and your friends. So those are the things that are important. And if you have those ideals, which are actually, they come out of FDR in many ways. If you have those ideals in front of you, he probably got them from Huey Long, in front of you, and you say, this is what we're going to do with it. If you have people who are leading you in that direction, you could actually come with something. But if you have nobody there, you're going to invite a fascist in to take over.
So what will this country lose then if we are to continue to live in the sort of censorship state that, bans people like myself, like Dustin and so on, like other approved journalists?
Yeah, it's a difficult time. I will say this, and the reason it's happening is because, well, if I look at it from a historical point of view, I have to say the military has to be on your side. If the military is not on your side, they're on the other side, or they're, you're going to end up like the Romans, and they're going to be fighting, this section of the military will be fighting that section of the military. So if you don't have the military, you're not going to get very far. Napoleon had the military on his side. That's why he was able to do what he did. The Rome fell apart because they couldn't find anybody, really. And everybody was, they were paying people in salt for a while. So who's ever going to pay you is you're going to have the biggest army. And then you have the Americans, and that was what was so unique about them is they had a plan and they had an army,
Hmm.
and everybody was on the same page. The oligarchs are always going to win. The bankers are always going to win if you do not have a leader, if you do not have somebody strong to do it. So you guys are going to be constantly pushed aside because you're not part of the plan for the oligarchs. You know, what they want to do is they just want to divide and conquer us and keep us fighting with each other as they get richer. And do they have a plan at the end? It's just to keep us
Keep us
keep us
spinning.
chained.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a reservation, You're either on the plantation, that's if you're in jail. You're on the reservation if you're in debt. And there's another one. I have a little schematic of
Yeah.
this. And the only way to freedom really is to find your ilk and unite.
Yeah.
And that's why this idea of the Peach Community, the idea of the Seeds Project, is to preserve what we have. Because if you remember, when the slaves were captured in Africa by other tribes, and then sold to the Arabs and the Jews, and then sold to the Europeans, when they landed, wherever they landed in the Caribbean or Brazil or the United States or anywhere else, the first thing they did was they stole their language and they took away their history.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, you can't do this anymore. They did the same thing to the Native Americans. They took away their rituals, their pagan rituals. And that's how you destroy a culture.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of that is, like you said, destroying people's voice. And we here at NN News have always considered ourselves the voice of the people, and I think that's why so many of these big wigs are gunning for our heads. But
Yeah.
again, I would like to.
Yeah, Jimmy Dore is another guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like they
he,
want to take down anyone who's speaking the truth to power.
right. And so this is where the fine line, comes in, and where where the oligarchs will pay people to do something and just follow orders.
Yeah.
Whereas
Exactly.
you have people who, they see that the world is unjust and unfair, and they want a more just and more fair world, but they also want to be able to speak their piece.
Mm.
And if you do that, the oligarchs don't like that, because then they lose power.
Mm-hmm.
Because that communication is how you organize.
Yeah. But again, thank you for. I think this has been a very interesting interview. I'd like to again thank you for coming on to the show. We really appreciate having you.
Oh, thank you for having
Thank
me.
you, comrade
Yeah.
SPQR.
And definitely, if you guys, we'll link anything SPQR has, Twitter and stuff down below for you. Just keep in mind, SPQR is constantly undercover, infiltrating the alt right. So sometimes you're undercover on Twitter as well. So just be
That's
aware
right.
when you're going into it. You don't know what you're going to see. It's definitely a
Right.
roller coaster,
Exactly.
but
But I'm always on your side.
always on your side. So thank you guys for watching this part of the show. We'll come back to you pretty soon, just me and Nev with stories we want to discuss. Thank you again for coming, SPQR. Hello and welcome to Stories We Want to Discuss. It was really fun having SPQR here, but this part should go maybe a little quicker. We'll see how that goes. We're going to start off today's stories we want to discuss with Trump signing a stopgap spending measure to avert a shutdown. Now, this is, I don't know if they do this over there across the pond, Nev, but here in America, the government shuts down every couple months, like when they want to throw a tantrum or something. I don't know the full legal reason for it, but apparently it's been stopped. I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe it's about time the government just shuts down, right?
Absolutely. I mean, do we really need the government
Mm-hmm.
right now? I mean, all they do is kind of spread misery and suffering and oppression. Well, once Joe Biden gets in, we won't have to worry about anything like that. But for now, we live under someone who, quite frankly, is bad.
Yeah,
very, very bad.
In order to avert this government shutdown, Trump is extending 1.4 trillion in government funding until December 11th. And that's just like, come on. He can barely get these second wave of stimulus checks out, yet he's giving 1.4 billion to these fat cat governmental people. I mean, how much does Congress really need to get paid? This, this is
It's
this is a
ridiculous.
classic example of something that Trump is kind of known for, business, of cutting a check to pay the basically paying the mob, paying off your people. And it's sad that
That's why I hate capitalism.
yeah, it's gross. It's gross capitalism. It's sad that he's able to do this, even here, even in America. This type of thing you think happens in like communist Russia or something, or somewhere where the government is just has no respect for the people. I mean, but you wouldn't think that happened in America. It's sad. And this is sort of a very topsy-turvy Trump week. So I do apologize that we have been talking about Trump so much. I know usually we keep it contained in the Trump watch, but things have gotten so crazy that it's just Trump is the news right now. It's hard not to focus on him. And this one is not directly related to Trump, but you could see where I find the connection here. I was reading this really interesting article in the New York Times about how Mein Kampf was handled in a book review in 1943, and there's actually some stunning parallels between this book review and a book review for, I think it was like a How to Make Friends and Influence People, right? They,
Well, I think it goes to show that there is a very stark kind of comparison and parallel to be drawn from these two people. And I've been saying this now since day one of his presidency. Trump is Hitler, like reborn, maybe
yeah.
reincarnated, something like that.
Well, I think we were talking about with SPQR, but the Nazis were deep into the occult, so who knows? If a Hitler ghost was just flying around and landed in Trump's body. I mean, I think Trump was born on the day Hitler died. I don't know if that's
I think it
true.
was close around that.
It was
Maybe
around that.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I'm not sure
it's close enough. I mean, we don't really need to fact check that.
yeah. So it's possible that Trump is literally a resurrected Hitler in baby form. I mean, this could have just been some of this occult stuff. But anyway, the review of this Hitler book it says still what has been printed black and white, put between cover and copyright in the Washington constitutes a book, even if it is Mein Kampf. So here it is, the definitive new translation, selling for $350, which is quite a lot of money for a bad book, but far less than what it's going to cost the Germans. And that's so true. Like, obviously, Mein Kampf's not worth the money, but it cost the Germans even more because it sent them into this world war. You ever heard of it?
It's unfortunately, it. The 930s are repeating themselves. We're seeing it now. I mean, if you read any of Blump's books, it's essentially exactly what Hitler would say in them.
Yeah, how to
But instead of
influence
hating the
people
Jews, he's hating POCs
and
kind of thing.
POCs, and he hates Jewish people too. Let's get this straight. Trump is incredibly anti-Semitic. He's anti everything.
That's himself.
Except himself, of course. It's sad. I do wonder, in this modern day, whether or not how we're able to like figure all this stuff out. I think one of the things you have to be really careful about is even if looking at something like Mein Kampf, where it's not an American book, we got to be careful not to editorialize a lot of this stuff, right? Because what do we know about its effects? Hong Kong police are out in force to deter. They say protesters here, but I think that should be replaced with rioters. The Hong Kong police are currently stopping riots. We're bringing back law and order. This is exactly what Joe Biden is standing for. And I think this is the last story that we're going to cover out of China because at this point I feel like we have a moral obligation to not cover these Chinese stories that we have no say in, right?
Exactly. We had that anonymous individual was recently urging us not to say anymore, and I think it's for good reason.
Yeah, I remember that. We got an email on all of my email accounts from, it was an anonymous source, and it was saying, please stop covering the Chinese government. They're doing nothing wrong. And I think I'm going to have to be inclined to believe that.
Yeah, it was an anonymous source. They are usually trustworthy. Who are we to disbelieve them?
And this is going to be the last time we cover any of this Hong Kong stuff. So if you guys are wondering in the comments, oh, why didn't they cover the recent Hong Kong riots? That's because we're not going to support the fake news. We're here to support law and order in Hong Kong. and we're not going to editorialize and westernize their sort of decisions. I mean, in Hong Kong, it's perfectly reasonable for them to take in protesters and whatever, get rid of them, whatever.
They should really learn from the peaceful BLM protests.
Yeah, the Hong Kong protesters really need to learn from BLM. It's not about. I hear they're doing crazy stuff like looting in Hong Kong.
Wow. Honestly, I would not be surprised. I mean, you've got a wonderful, effective government over there,
Hmm.
and it's no wonder that these awful alt-right fascists want to go against it.
Yeah. Let's see here. And speaking about fascists and alt-right and law and order, I think what people don't understand is that Biden is the president. If you want this craziness to stop in our streets, Biden's your guy. Because guess what? All this stuff is happening under Trump's regime, you know, and it's
Exactly.
not happening under Biden's regime. And this story is saying Biden called to redirect police funding, but had stopped short of defunding. That's important because obviously we can't. It's hard to take all the money away from the police, right? We still need some money for like fire departments and stuff, and maybe police to deal with like Proud Boys. So redirecting is really smart, redirecting money from the police to. Oh, go ahead.
This is what I told you on the few other shows. It's not defunding or any nonsense like that. It's reallocating. That's all it
Reallocate
is. It's just sensible spending.
And it's moving the millions of dollars that are being spent on arming police and transferring that into into more doctors, more healthcare workers who can go around and talk these armed criminals down. Get them to stop breaking the law. And this is sort of just what the future of law and order look like. We don't need cops, we need therapy. Let's get this straight, guys. And it's sad that we're at this point where we have to explain this to people. It's Biden wants law and order. There's no one is disagreeing with that.
A therapist is more likely to stop a criminal than a police officer.
Exactly, and not just stop them, but not just stop them temporarily, but stop them from committing crimes again in the future. We
Exactly.
need to take this another. We were just talking with the Chinese. We need to take a note from them. We need to stop sending people to prison and start sending them to re-education camps. Places where they
It's
can.
not really a camp. It's more of a facility.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
I feel like camp. It's a bit of
Yeah. I got to get my.
a dangerous word.
I got to update my AP style guide. Right, it's not riots anymore. It's unrest. Yeah, we're not camps. We're sending them to re-education centers where they
Or
can
facilities,
whatever we got to call them to get it done.
or fairgrounds as well.
Fairgrounds, whatever they're doing in China, because clearly China is solving these issues. They're solving fascism by re-education, and we need to learn from that, right? Get rid of cops, bring in therapists, and get rid of prisons, bring in re-education centers or facilities, whatever you want to call them, and that's just the future, right? And I don't know. Obviously we did end up covering this in a News Bites episode, and I will highly suggest that you watch that below. But we talked about the debates at length. But just because I can't leave it out of this show, because I know if I do, people are going to be biting my head off. Why did you leave out the debates? Okay, we're going to talk about the debates. Clearly, Joe Biden won, and the Biden boys won. I think there's no question about this, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember crying tears of joy at the end when I knew Biden won. It wasn't even a contest. Blumph had no idea what he was doing. He was fumbling on his words. He looked senile and old, and Biden, he looked youthful and spry.
Yeah, and most people, it seems, were annoyed by the debates because they were annoyed it even had to happen. Like 83% had a negative view of the debates because Trump, right? That means 83% of Americans were anti-Trump because of the debate. And I would even put this number a little higher, adjust the poll, maybe make it 90s. But all this is
I
showing
get
to
that
me.
poll integrity saving system in use there.
Yeah, all it's saying to me is nice. All it's saying to me is that we need to just get rid of the debates because clearly no one wants them in the United States, and they were a health risk, right? Trump got COVID, and Trump might have even endangered the life of Joe Biden and almost gave him COVID. So it's obvious that the future isn't having more of these debates. The future is sort of getting people to just listen to what Joe Biden says, and they don't need to necessarily do that through a context of a debate.
We can go with the cardboard cutout idea as well,
Mm-hmm.
saying that instead of actually having Blumph there, we have a cardboard cutout of him. That way, Biden can actually properly debate.
Yeah, and we're not. I'm not going to go into any more depth on the debates because again, there's a News Bites video. I'll link it in the description below, where it's like a 15-minute video where we go in depth on every single point and explain it. So I'll just keep this moving. Next story comes to us from Disneyland. You ever been to Disneyland there, Nev?
Unfortunately, yes. My dad took me as a kid, and that's when I realized the horrors of capitalism firsthand. It
Yeah,
was a traumatic experience.
Disneyland has long represented toxic capitalism, you know, and they're showing the downside of this capitalist system where they're now laying off thousands of restaurant employees and hotel workers. And I don't know how Mickey Mouse can do this. This isn't very magical, if you ask me.
Hopefully, these employees learn from their mistakes of endorsing a
Hmm.
horrific capitalist ideology. And instead, they go and do something more useful with their lives. Like, I don't know, like protesting or fighting against the patriarchy and racism or something like that. Actually, giving themselves meaning and purpose.
Yeah, if any Disney Imagineers want to come work for our show, work for Journalist Excellence Worldwide, just email us at contact@journalistexcellenceworldwide.com and we'll work it through with you. Because yeah, we're not Disney has always been anti-worker, and this is just showing that. Like in these times where these people need these jobs, they took them away from them, and it's sad.
It really is. This is why we don't need capitalism anymore. I've been saying this for so long now.
Yeah, it really has been. And the other thing we don't need is we don't need fascists in this country. We don't need Proud Boys.
No, they should be just extradited immediately. Send them somewhere else.
And there's so many people right now that are trying to be like, oh, dude, look at Proud Boys aren't white supremacists. Look, here's a black Proud Boy member. That's an Uncle Tom, you know? That's a Tom Nook. That's
Clearly, they have internalized racism as well.
exactly. This is the case of a black white supremacist. And there's a lot of black white supremacists out there. And if you needed any more proof that Proud Boys were literal Nazis, just look here. The Proud Boy founder recorded a video titled 10 Things I Hate About Jews in 2017. Can you believe that?
Well, it's obvious to me now that, yeah, they are Nazis, yeah.
Yeah, literal Nazis. And there's, I mean, I'm glad they didn't actually include the video in this article. They included a video of Trump not condemning the Proud Boys. I'm glad they didn't include a video of this in this article because I don't even want to see what Gavin McInnes was saying in this video. I'm glad they just put it into print and text because I think it's the best way to consume media like this is to just read transcripts of it that dry it out so it's not as hurtful.
Exactly. I mean, what more do you want from mainstream approved news outlets that tell you the truth?
Hmm. And I'm glad that they reached out for comment from, but of course he never responded.
I mean, it's to be expected. We are renowned and feared.
Hmm. So yeah, the Proud Boys are something you need to avoid. The next segment here we got for you is the great debate, and we've got a lot of criticism that we didn't last week. We didn't have somebody debating against us, so we brought somebody in, and I do apologize with a trigger warning in case it gets a little crazy. But we'll see you in the debate. Welcome to the debate. And again, we got a lot of feedback on the last episode. So last episode, yeah, I guess we didn't have somebody on to debate, and we just read you the correct answers. And people were emailing me saying, this is unfair. This is no way for a journalist to act. Where's your journalistic integrity? But honestly, since the recent presidential debate, if I've learned anything, is that in reality, debates don't actually matter. I mean, we all knew Biden won before it even started. We all know how this is going to go. Nev wins the debate. We're not even going to have a straw poll this time. But to humor you all, we have brought in an opponent for Nev. I'd like to introduce our good friend. Why am I saying good friend? I hate this guy. We just found him on the Discord server. His name's Alex. Say hello, Alex.
Hello.
Thanks. Great performance already.
I already don't like him.
Yeah, I know. So, I'm going to present a few questions, and both of you will be given some time to explain your thoughts on the issues. And please, everyone, just be respectful. I'm talking to you, Alex. Okay, the first question is, who do you guys think won the first debate? We'll start with you, Nev.
do you even have to ask this question? Biden won, obviously. I mean, Trump was stupid. He was an idiot. He just couldn't compete. Everything, even after all the abuse that Blumph threw at poor Biden, Biden rose above like a phoenix from the ashes and stood his ground.
Wow.
So yeah, it's obviously Biden. No
Beautiful.
competition.
Okay, what's your thoughts, Alex?
I think that Trump easily won. Biden could
All
barely
right,
get a
that,
single
no,
word
no,
in.
Okay.
no,
Okay.
no,
Why
no.
would you ever think that Trump won? I mean, Trump can't win anything. Right? Like, plus, I'm pretty sure Trump gave. I know I shouldn't get into this because I'm the moderator here, but I'm just going to disprove you right now, Alex. Trump not only did terrible at the debate, he also endangered the life of Biden, and it's grotesque. It's sad. Anyway, what were you saying?
I mean, how can this person have such a wrong opinion, Norm? Honestly, like, where did you get this guy from?
We got him from the Discord server, and we have these sort of miscreants on there. So, fine, Alex, continue. What were you saying about?
Biden could barely get a single word in. He was
Oh,
clowned on.
hey,
Oh
no,
no! Come on now.
no. Next,
No.
we'll just ask the next question. Sorry about this, guys. Question 2. Should Trump have denounced the alt-right during the debate? What are you guys' thoughts? We'll start with Nev again.
Well, I mean, obviously the white supremacist, but I don't expect him to do so because, after all, Trump is a white supremacist himself. These guys are his unidentified stormtroopers.
Yeah, it really that's brilliant. I mean, I've never heard it stated any clearer, any more cogent, any more articulate. Now, Alex, that's tough points to follow. What are your thoughts?
He should not even need to. He still
What?
hasn't even denounced Antifa.
No,
Well, wait. Yeah, okay,
no.
come on.
Antifa is an idea.
Yeah,
A terrorist
you,
organization.
you cannot denounce an
Oh,
idea, right? I mean,
is this guy stupid? What's your IQ?
yeah, like 12. It was,
That's a bit generous, Norm.
yeah, come on. That was awful. Awful. Fine, we'll just move this along.
Why do we even bother asking this guy the question? I don't think we should even bother asking him.
Yeah, the next
I think
one.
I'll just answer it.
Yeah, the next one we'll just let Nev answer. So Nev, question 3: Do you think Biden will use any sort of performance enhancing things, wires, earpieces, or anything during the debate? What are your thoughts?
No, that's a stupid question. I mean, Biden, look at him. Does that guy look like he needs anything? I mean,
Yeah,
come on, man.
Biden
Stupid
is
question.
Biden is a sexual tyrannosaurus, and Biden has no need for wires or Adderall or any sort of illicit substances to enhance his performance. It's all natural, baby. And Alex, we're not going to give you a chance to answer this question because you're just going to spread some alt-right stuff. So, for those viewers at home, I'll just give you guys the winner of this debate. Nev won this debate by far. On question 1, we have Nev taking 100% of the vote. On question 2, we have Nev taking 100% of the vote. On question 3, Nev won by default because Alex didn't get to answer question 3. But I have to say this. Thank you for coming on here, Alex. I really hope.
Thank the fascist. The fascist should be thanking us.
You're
Yeah.
very welcome.
Please never come near this show again. You are banned.
I don't appreciate that.
Sorry. Okay, it's that time of the show again. We hate to do it, but we have to do it. It's a Trump watch.
I can't wait for next year when it's going to be the Biden watch.
Biden watch would be great. It'll be pretty slow. We're mostly going to be talking about all the charitable work Biden's been doing. Keeping you up to date on all that. But it's going to be pretty easy and relaxed, especially compared to this monster of an event that we have right now. So to start things off, we actually talked about the Proud Boys right before the debate, and we have more Proud Boy news. You guys didn't know during the debate, during the electoral debate, Biden did not condemn the Proud Boys. He told them to stand by. They're all marching. They're all celebrating this event. It's just sad to see these Proud Boys. They're in the streets right now, and we said it before. The Proud Boys are Nazis, and by sort of giving them the stand by message, Trump is inciting them into violence, giving them a blank check. I mean, now he's funding literal Nazis. If you didn't know, the Proud Boys, they're this far right extremist group. They came up in about 2016, and they've just are their whole thing has been on violent confrontations. You see them constantly fighting and starting fights with noble Antifa members and that sort of thing.
Goodness, I mean, it's just sad. It shows the state that we are in. I mean, we've got literal Nazis, Hitler Youths parading the streets, and nothing's been done about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is absolutely abhorrent, and it's scary that they're able to get away with this. Just the Proud Boys, to me, are the absolute worst part of America. They're these extremists, these white nationalists that have been stirred up, and they get stirred up so easily by Trump. And they go out, they do his bidding. But Proud Boys are really the modern Gestapo. They're Trump's thugs. You can order them around by just making offhanded comments, and he's not willing to condemn them. He's not willing to say, "Hey, you guys need to stop doing this." And the thing is, even him
they're
saying,
off burning cities down now.
"Yeah, they're burning cities down," and even him saying something like "stand by" or whatever, or like "stand down, stand by," just because he told them to stand down, that doesn't mean he condemned them or told them to stop being violent. Standing down, the way that he said it, basically means telling them, "Hey, keep being violent. You're gonna get a pass."
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just sad.
I'm already depressed already, and we've just started the Trump war.
I know it is. It's so depressing. To make matters worse, it seems that Barr has sort of started to brief Trump about all this fake mail-in voting controversy, right? Now you see this, they're turning this mail-in voting thing into a complete show. Like they're trying to be like, hey, mail-in voting is dangerous, even though Trump has been mail-in voting forever. And Barr is sort of filling the president's ears with these sweet nothings, whispering in his ear, trying to give him all these ideas on how to meddle with the election by decaying America's belief in the integrity and the safety of the election. It's gross. It's gross and it's sad. And it's sad that these are the people who are around the president and who are feeding him information, because the president's so easy to puppet. And
I miss Obama. We never had any of this when he was around.
no, with Obama,
We should just give Obama 8 more years.
8 more years, 20 more years. Until Obama dies, he should be president, in my opinion. I mean, he was just so noble, and there were no issues under Obama. But with Trump, it's just this disgusting thing that just keeps on going. And his not even his supporters can deal with it anymore. I mean, Trump's former campaign manager, Brad Parscale, was hospitalized after attempting a suicide. And if I was
I
Trump's,
don't know who was behind that.
yeah, we all know who was behind that. It was Trump trying to take him down, because he probably planned on leaking Trump's tax returns or something, for all we know. Now, there is a chance that he actually was doing it on his own. I mean, there is a case that if
Very slim chance.
slim chance, but if you were around Trump all the time, I think it would be kind of a natural place to go to, right? And
It's just a natural reaction.
it's a natural reaction. This situation is so crazy. He ended up having to later on. He ended up having to step down from his post, and I don't know. I do wonder. Oh, it's funny they use the same picture of both of these. But yeah, he ended up stepping down from his role as a senior advisor, because he just probably couldn't handle it, right? He had an attempt made on his life by himself or otherwise, who knows. And he couldn't handle it. And I think more people in the Trump government are going to start stepping down. Right?
And I can imagine a great deal of Republicans this year are just going to be completely enamored by Joe Biden's words of wisdom and just make the switch. I mean, we've been hearing a lot of lies recently about record numbers of Republicans, first-time voters. But, I mean, come on. It's obvious that these guys are actually voting for Biden.
Yeah, of course.
They probably just wrote down the wrong party or something.
They messed up. Yeah, it happens. It really does happen. And we this is a constant thing on the Trump watch. We find ways to compare Trump to Hitler. And we were just talking about his tax returns. Trump didn't pay any taxes. But you know who else never paid his income tax?
Wow.
Hitler. You know, this is like part 25 of the Trump is Hitler thing. I'm sorry to belabor the point, but it's just so obvious now to anyone who's being intellectually honest that Trump is in fact Hitler with no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know? And it's just I'm glad that Joe Biden is taking a stance against this. Joe Biden has already released his tax returns and sort of so now Joe Biden can't be Hitler because he released his tax returns.
It'd be silly to insinuate that Joe Biden was ever Hitler. I mean, Joe
Of
Biden was
course.
probably like, I don't know, Winston Churchill or someone like that.
Well, no, Winston Churchill. Come on, Winston Churchill's the white
Oh, no,
supremacist.
not Winston Churchill. Sorry. So, someone else, someone better. I don't know. Nelson Mandela or
Nelson
something like that.
Mandela, Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, Joe Biden's like someone like that.
Yeah, you know it's sad. You know, people are trying to make up excuses for Trump about the not paying his taxes things. They say stuff like, "Oh, Trump we took advantage of Obama's policies to avoid paying taxes," but that's not fair. Trump is the one who broke the law in the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
You know, we still need to.
So, unfortunately, I don't think he'll ever be punished for this.
I don't think he will. I mean, maybe we can put him in prison after he gets out of office. I'm hoping that Joe Biden plans to convict, because otherwise we can't. We're letting this all go. It's just deeply sad for this country. And you know, Trump is just trying to sow the seeds of doubt. You know, he made so many claims during the debates about how mail-in voting wasn't safe. But luckily, we have facts first, the fact checkers who come in here and say, "Hey, everything Trump says is wrong. Don't trust Trump." If
Never trust Trump.
The mail-in voting will have no flaws, no issues. It's not our place to even question mail-in voting. We should just
I've never questioned it ever.
never once,
Never.
right? And it's one of the things. Should we even cover mail-in voting? Because it should just be obligatory that it's going to work with no questions.
I remember when we first found out it existed, Dustin told us, and he said very specifically, "Neville, do not question this." And I knew then it was my destiny, my duty, never to do such a thing.
Yeah, and you know, it is our duty to bring light to these issues and to get you guys the most accurate information. Fact check these things. You know, Donald Trump has been pushing now that Biden wants to cancel the remaining debates. Biden doesn't, because Biden fooled Trump in the debate. So it would be no issue for Biden to come in here with another debate and destroy Trump. But now, obviously, with the Trump having the coronavirus, there's no chance. It's just not safe anymore. Even if he gets cleared for the coronavirus, who knows if it might still be in the system. We just don't want to chance it with any more debates.
Yeah, I mean, do we even need them anyway? Biden's just going to win regardless.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a competition at this point. Like, Trump thinks he can win, but come on. I mean, he got lucky in 2016.
He really did. He got lucky in 2016. Yeah, it is sad. It's odd. And, you know, Trump is looking for any excuse he can do to get ahead of here right now. He's even going to the Vatican, trying to get the Pope to do his dirty work. But the Pope isn't having it. This is a good Pope. This Pope is not going to let Trump corrupt him, right? I mean
usually I don't support the Pope or any kind of religious institution except maybe like an oppressed religion.
Yeah.
But in this case, yes, it's wonderful to see that. They're brilliant news.
Yeah, it's brilliant news, and it's awesome to have the Pope sort of go against Trump and say, "Hey, I'm not going to let you exploit us for your corrupt purposes." I mean, Trump might be the Antichrist, right? For all we know. Why else would the Pope say no?
Exactly.
So yeah.
I mean, he understands that Blumph was probably born from the depths of hell or something like that. Which again, he probably knows that Trump is Hitler reincarnated, reborn, something.
Yeah,
like
there might be some cults up there that we're not privy to, but the Pope is, and it's something we got to keep an eye on. But In conclusion, we got to remember that convenience is a tool of the bourgeoisie and should be avoided. Also, let's remember Kim. Kim's a pretty good guy, right now?
Absolutely, yeah. Kim's one of the best.
You know, Trump. If we ever hear Biden say anything that's wacky or whatever, he's just a joker. So let's not
Yeah.
question that.
The Hong Kong protests are actually riots and should be utterly shut down.
Yeah, and let's look forward to the good new emojis, but let's avoid the questionable ones.
Exactly.
And let's also let's also again thank SPQR for coming on here. And remember, she is undercover often, so if anything she says seems a little questionable to you, that's why.
Also, we no longer use the raised fist to show solidarity as a secret sign. We'll think of a new one.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that. And of course, Trump is Hitler. We can't forget that.
Trump is Hitler. Trump is bad.
Trump is bad. Thank you all for watching. This has been.
I'm just gonna say this now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Frick Trump. Seriously, just frick that guy.
Screw Trump. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next NNN podcast. Love you guys. See you later.
Take
Bye.
care, comrades.